Are you sure you have to go?
So, what do you think about this new policy?
I'm not sure I understand it completely.
It seems a bit complicated to me.
I think it's important to remember the context of when that was said.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's a very good point.
I think it's important to find what works for you and then just stick with it, you know?
It was really great to work with you on this project, Jack.
I agree. I think we've made a really good team. The essence of community is connection, feeling that you belong and that your voice matters. We have to consider all the options carefully.
I agree. This decision is crucial.
What are the main concerns?
The most important thing is that we understand each other.
Did you see the news this morning? The storm is getting worse.
I know. I told you we should have left yesterday.
The evening sun cast a faint orange glow over the small village where the houses lined the dirt road like quiet witnesses of time. Hang sat by the bamboo table, fiddling with the chipped porcelain cup in his hands. He had grown accustomed to silence in his household, but today the silence carried weight. His mother sat across from him, her gaze wandering to the window as though she was watching memories unfold beyond the fields. Her hands trembled slightly, and for a long while, she said nothing. Hang could feel something pressing heavily on her heart, and his own pulse grew uneasy. "Mother," he finally said softly, "what is it that you're hiding? You've been so distant these past days. I can see it." His mother looked at him with tired eyes, her lips parting but no words leaving at first. Then she reached out, her calloused fingers brushing the back of his hand. "Hang, there is something you deserve to know. Something I have carried inside me for too long." The words hung in the air, fragile and sharp at once. Hang leaned forward, his chest tightening. "Tell me, whatever it is, I want to hear it." She drew a shaky breath. "Your father. I know who he is. He's not far from here." The world seemed to tilt slightly for Hang. For years, his father had been nothing but a shadow, a figure his mother never spoke of. Growing up, whenever he asked, she would smile faintly and say only that his father was gone. Hang had stopped questioning, burying the ache deep inside. But now, suddenly, the silence cracked. "Who?" His voice was hoarse. "Who is he?" Her eyes clouded with both sorrow and defiance. "It's Nham, the man you've seen around the village. The one who..." She faltered, her throat tightening. "The one I loved a long time ago." Hang blinked, stunned. Nham? He knew the man. Everyone in the village knew him. A tall, aging figure with a furrowed brow and an aura of mystery. Hang had spoken with him briefly before, never imagining there could be a deeper tie. "Nham," he repeated, his voice dropping lower. "You're saying he's my father?" Her hand gripped his tightly now, desperate. "Yes, I once asked him, but he denied it, as though our past meant nothing. But I remember everything. I remember the nights when we were young and in love. I remember the day I fell from the bicycle and he rushed to help me. But he carried his own scar from that day, a scar on his left knee. It never faded. That scar is proof of what we once shared." Hang's heart pounded in his chest. He had never heard his mother speak with such intensity, such raw pain. "And you're certain?" he asked. She nodded, tears gathering in her eyes. I have no doubt. He can deny it all he wants, but I know the truth, and now you should know it too. The revelation crashed into Hang like a storm. His whole life he had longed for answers, for a father's presence, for some sense of belonging. To think that the man he had seen in passing, the man who never looked twice at him, might be that missing piece. It was overwhelming. "Mother," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Why now? Why tell me now?" She lowered her gaze, her voice soft with regret. "Because I am tired of carrying the weight alone. You are grown now, and you have the right to know who you are. I cannot let lies or silence define our family any longer. If Nham wants to run from the truth, let him. But I will no longer run." Hang sat in silence, his thoughts spiraling. 1,000 questions raced in his mind. Why had Nham denied it? What kind of man was he truly? And what would happen if Hang confronted him? But beneath the confusion, there was a spark of determination. He could not live in shadows anymore. Finally, he rose from his seat, his fists clenched at his sides. "Then we'll go see him. We'll ask him directly. I need to hear it from him, whether he admits it or not." His mother's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and pride. "Are you ready for that, Hang? It will not be easy." "I am," he said firmly. "I've lived without a father for too long. I need the truth, even if it hurts." The room fell silent again, but this time the silence carried resolve rather than uncertainty. The sun had dipped lower, casting long shadows across the floor. Mother and son stood side by side, their bond tested by the past but strengthened by the search for truth. Whatever lay ahead, denial, rejection, or acceptance, they would face it together. And so began their journey, one filled with old scars, buried secrets, and the relentless pursuit of identity. The night before their visit to Nhem's home was restless. Hang lay on the wooden bed, staring at the ceiling where the moonlight filtered through cracks in the roof. Every creak of the old beams echoed like the pounding of his own heart. He turned to his side, pulling the thin blanket tighter, but the chill inside him was not from the cold. It was the thought of tomorrow, of standing before the man his mother swore was his father. Sleep would not come. Memories he didn't even know he carried stirred restlessly. Faces of men he had passed on the street. The lingering envy he felt as a boy watching other children run into their father's arms. The countless times he had swallowed questions about who he was. And now, finally, there might be an answer. But what if it wasn't the answer he wanted? What if Nham rejected him outright? Or worse, what if his mother was mistaken, and all of this turmoil was for nothing? In the next room, his mother also lay awake, clutching the corner of her blanket. But unlike her son, her mind was not filled with uncertainty. It was filled with memory. She saw herself again, a young girl of 17, her hair long and dark as night, laughing by the riverbank as Nham teased her about slipping on the rocks. She could hear the way he called her name, soft and earnest, and how her heart had leapt when he promised they would always be together. Those days had felt endless, as though love alone could shield them from poverty and hardship. But then, the memories shifted. She saw the night of betrayal, the argument, the tears, the sight of Nhem's back as he walked away without explanation. And then the discovery of her pregnancy, the shame she endured, the whispers of neighbors, the long days of raising Hang alone, while her heart hardened with each passing year. She pressed a hand to her chest, whispering to herself, "He cannot deny me forever. The truth will stand, even if he runs." Morning arrived heavy and gray, the sky swollen with clouds. Hang dressed in silence, his mother fastening the buttons of her worn jacket with trembling fingers. They exchanged a single look before stepping outside. No more words were needed. The path to Nhem's house wound past the rice fields, where workers bent low with sickles, their laughter faint in the damp air. But for Hang and his mother, the world felt muted. every step dragging them closer to a confrontation decades in the making. When they reached the edge of the village, they saw Nyam's house. It was smaller than Hang remembered. The walls weathered, the gate half-hinged. Smoke curled from a pot outside where someone had left rice cooking unattended. And there he was, Nyam himself, tall but stooped with age, his back bent as he lifted a bundle of clothes into a worn canvas bag. The sight made Hang's breath hitch. The man looked ordinary, weary even, yet the thought that this could be his father made the ground seem unsteady. "Mother," Hang whispered, "he's leaving." "I know," she replied, her voice sharper than steel. She strode forward before Hang could stop her footsteps loud against the packed dirt. "Nyam!" The man froze. Slowly he turned, his eyes narrowing as he saw who called his name. For a moment there was no recognition. Then his gaze dropped to the woman at his gate, and a flicker of unease crossed his face. "You," he muttered. "Yes, me," she said, her chin lifting proudly. "You thought you could run again, didn't you? But not this time." Nyam's jaw tightened. "I don't know what you mean. I'm only preparing to visit relatives." Her voice cracked like a whip. "Don't play games. You know why I'm here. You know the boy standing beside me is yours." Hang stepped forward, his fists clenched, his voice trembling. "Is it true? Tell me. Are you my father?" Nyam looked at him, really looked, and something flickered in his eyes. Shock, recognition, maybe even guilt. But it was gone as quickly as it came. "No," he said firmly. "Your mother is confused. She has been for years." "Confused?" his mother spat. "I remember everything. I remember the scar on your left knee, Nyam, from the day you fell off the bicycle and I tended to you. That scar doesn't lie." Nyam's lips twisted into a bitter smile. He pulled up the hem of his trousers, revealing the mark in question, pale and jagged against his skin. Hang's eyes widened. It was real, proof. But Nyam's words cut through the moment. "Yes, I have a scar, but it's from chopping wood, not from a bicycle fall. Your story is mistaken. Don't drag me into your delusions." Hang's mother stepped closer, her hands trembling with fury. "You can lie to the whole world, Nyam, but you cannot lie to me. You left me with his life inside me, and now you dare deny him." Hang's chest burned. His voice rose. "Look at me. Look at my face, my eyes. You know there's truth here. Stop running and tell me, am I your son or not?" For a long moment, silence swallowed them. The wind rustled through the bamboo trees, and even the distant sounds of the village seemed to fade. Nyam's gaze flickered between the boy and the woman, his knuckles white around the strap of his bag. His lips parted, but no sound came. Then, like a door slamming shut, his expression hardened. "No," he said flatly. "You are not my son. She is wrong. Take your mother home before she embarrasses herself further." Hang staggered back as though struck. His mother let out a cry of disbelief, her hands clutching her chest. "How can you? After all these years, how can you deny your own blood?" But Nyam turned away, hoisting the bag onto his shoulder. "I have nothing more to say." Hang's voice shook with rage. "Coward, you can deny the truth, but it doesn't change who I am. One day, everyone will see it." Nyam paused for just a fraction of a second before disappearing into the house. The door closed behind him with a dull thud, leaving mother and son outside in the heavy silence of rejection. Hang's fists unclenched slowly, his chest rising and falling with ragged breaths. His mother wept quietly beside him, whispering words that trembled with both sorrow and defiance. And though Hang felt shattered, there was also a spark within him, a determination to uncover the truth, no matter how many times it was denied. The minutes after Nyam shut the door felt like an eternity. Hang stood frozen on the dirt path, staring at the weathered wood as if his gaze alone could force it open again. His mother sat on the low stone near the gate, her face buried in her hands, her shoulders trembling. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence was louder than any argument, but that silence did not last. The sound of footsteps crunching gravel came from the road, and soon a younger man appeared. He was in his 20s, neatly dressed, with the sharp features of someone accustomed to better circumstances. He looked from Hang to his mother, confusion etched on his brow before calling out, "Father? What's happening here?" The door opened once more, and Nham emerged, his expression stiff. "Nothing," he said quickly. "Just old acquaintances who mistook me for someone else." "Old acquaintances?" the young man repeated, glancing at Hang. "Who are they?" Before Nham could answer, Hang's mother rose to her feet. Her eyes burned with unshed tears, but her voice was steady, every word carrying decades of suppressed grief. "I'll tell you who we are. I am the woman your father abandoned years ago. And this," she reached for Hang's arm, pulling him forward, "this is his son, your brother." The young man recoiled, as if struck. "What?" His gaze darted between them and Nham, disbelief warring with anger. "Father, is this true?" Nyam's face hardened. "No, it is not true. She is confused, clinging to old fantasies. I've told her before, but she refuses to accept it." "Don't you dare call it fantasy," Hang's mother snapped. "I remember every moment, the nights we walked under the stars, the promises you whispered by the river. I remember when you swore you would never leave. And I remember the morning I woke to find you gone, with my child growing inside me. Tell me, Nham, is that fantasy?" Her words struck the air like blows. The young man's expression faltered, uncertainty creeping in. He studied his father closely, searching for cracks in his composure. "Father!" Nham clenched his fists. "It was long ago. I knew her, yes, but there was nothing more than acquaintance. She twists the truth to fit her story." Hang stepped forward, fury burning in his veins. "Twists the truth? Look at me. Look at her. You can see it. We share the same blood, even if you bury it beneath your lies. All my life I wondered who I was, and now I stand here, and you still deny me. What kind of man does that?" The young man flinched at Hang's voice. He looked at his father again, his own doubt deepening. "He does look like you," he whispered. "Enough!" Nham barked. "This ends now." He grabbed his son's arm, pulling him away. But Hang's mother stepped in front of them, her eyes blazing. "No, Nham, it doesn't end until you admit what you did. You left me to raise our child alone. You turned your back on us as though we were nothing. Do you know what that cost me? Do you know how many nights I wept? How many years I bore shame while you lived freely? And now you hide behind lies, afraid to face your own flesh and blood." The rawness of her confession silenced even the wind. Passers-by slowed on the road, watching the confrontation unfold. Whispers began, neighbors exchanging glances as recognition dawned. Stories of the past resurfaced in hushed voices. Nyam's jaw worked furiously, but still he refused. "I owe you nothing. You chose your path, I chose mine. That's all." Her laughter was bitter. "You coward. You think denial erases truth? It doesn't. It festers, and one day it will destroy you." Hang, trembling with rage, shouted, "Say it, just once. Call me your son." Nhim's son stepped forward then, his voice unsteady. "Father, maybe we should talk. If there's even a chance—" "No!" Nham cut him off sharply. "You are my only son. Don't let this woman poison your mind. We're leaving." He pushed past them, dragging his son with him. Hang tried to follow, but his mother caught his arm. "Let him go," she whispered hoarsely. "He has chosen his lies." They stood there as Nham climbed into a waiting car with his son. The engine roared, the tires spat dust, and in moments the vehicle was gone, leaving only silence and the faint echo of rejection. Hang's mother sank to her knees, tears streaming freely now. Hang knelt beside her, his heart torn in two, half filled with grief, half with burning determination. He held her hands tightly, whispering, "We will find the truth, Mother. No matter what he says, no matter how long it takes, I swear it." She looked into her son's eyes and saw not the boy she had raised, but the man he had become. A man shaped by absence, but strengthened by love. Though her heart was shattered, she felt a fragile spark of hope ignite within her. As they walked back along the dirt path, the villagers' whispers followed them. Some pitied, some doubted, some secretly believed. But Hang and his mother kept their heads high. For though Nham had denied them, the bond between mother and son could not be broken. The sky darkened, heavy with the promise of rain. In the distance, thunder rolled, echoing the storm that still raged in their hearts. Yet beneath that storm, a vow had been made, a vow that truth would one day rise, undeniable and clear. And so their story did not end in despair, but in defiance. The truth was still out there, waiting, and Hang would not rest until he claimed it.